Hey everybody, hope everybody's doing good and staying blessed. I am back and I'm feeling much better, at least for the moment. And I figured I would come and do a little talk like I've been doing over the course of the past few months, sharing some of my thoughts with everyone. And this one is loosely going to be don't judge a book by its cover. I say that because it's like the basis of the thoughts that I've been having that led to me wanting to share this talk. And it's going to be dealing with appearance, the visual outside appearance, stereotypes, assumptions, and how sometimes that really just is not the way to go. Um, when it comes to don't judge a book by its cover, what I mean by that is you can go to the library or pick up whatever book it is that you want to read, and if you base the reason why you want to read the book off of the cover, the illustrations, how grand and graphic the detail is in the cover, and how beautiful the pictures are on the cover of the book, instead of looking at the contents of the book, sometimes making a choice like that can be very detrimental because it can look great on the outside and be gibberish on the inside. And at the same time, you can find the book that is just plain, simple title, no pictures, and you get into reading it, and it could be one of the best books you've ever read. So, yeah, I know you're probably like staring at me going, oh, she's comparing people to books. What is up with her? Just stick with me. Um, when I look at people, I do see what's on the outside. So don't get me wrong and think that I don't see what a person looks like, and that doesn't factor into how I see them. I see that, but I see more than that when I see a person. Um, when I see a person, I see more than what's physically in front of me, because what's in their mind may not necessarily match what's on the outside of them. Um, Many times there are people who they have personalities that if you were to just post their picture and have people try to generate what that person is like, um, a lot of the time it'll be different from what the person actually is like. Um, and that goes with how a person can be through different stages of their life, or different times of their life, or even different times of the day, or what they're doing, because some days you might catch a person and they're dressed down. They were going to work and they work a job that requires them to get messy, so they're not going to be wearing their best clothes, so you'll see them like that. So if that's the only time you saw that person, you might assume, oh, they're bummy, or they cheap, or they don't care about how they look. There's all different kinds of things that people might say or think in their head when they see a person who they don't even know what's going on with a person, and they make assumptions like that. The same way you might happen to catch a girl who maybe coming from a school play, or maybe coming from a date, or maybe coming from a job interview. So she glammed herself up. And that goes for guys too, that they might just be dressed up for that one particular day, and you happen to see them on that day, and you're expecting them to be that one way for however long as you know them, and that's just not them. That's just them, a representation of what they chose to be for that day. And that's part of what I'm trying to get into. Don't judge a book by its cover. Just because a person looks a certain way one moment, and that's what you see or how you perceive that person to be does not mean that that's how they actually are. Um, Another way that I'm trying to get this across is a person can be multitudes of ways, all and still all be the same person. A person can be up, they can be down, they can be depressed, they can be extremely excited and be full of energy, and it's still the same person, and they just happen to be going through different times or phases of their life or their journey or whatever. And um taking that for what they are supposed to be as a baseline for all the time just doesn't make any sense, because people are forever changing, people are always being different. And um it's kind of funny if you go back and you look at your own life and look at yourself as a child and look at yourself now. Technically you're the same person, but there are many things that are not the same. So you can look at a person and make certain judgments or assumptions or use certain stereotypes to give yourself a baseline, but in the end it is better to actually open up the book and get to know the content. So what I'm trying to say is it's better to get to know a person and really get to know them than to just go off of assumptions. And pretty much that's like the gist of where I'm coming from with this talk. Getting to know other people and knowing yourself go hand in hand, because when you realize that how you dress, what your style is, and how you carry yourself all factor into how other people really do see you. Um, and this, I'm not sure how other people see this, but with me, when I really did start to realize that certain ways that I might dress may look a certain way to someone who does not know me, I had to make a decision. Do I change how I dress to be less offensive to someone else who is not open-minded enough to know that I might just happen to like to dress this way? Um, and I don't fit into these other categories of some of the negative things that I've heard people say um, to me or to other people who I've seen dress a certain way. And this, when I say dress a certain way, I mean, I guess the best way I can describe this is you have people who dress business, they dress classy, they dress sexy, they dress sassy. You got people who have a category they'll say is slutty, trashy, grunge, gothic, whatever. And they put a person in a category just based off of whatever their perception of what that is, and that's that. And I basically come to a point in my life that if I like something and that's what I want to wear, I wear it because I want to wear it. If I want to have my hair a certain way and that's how I want to have my hair, that's how I'm wearing my hair, because that's how I want it to be. Not because it's acceptable to parties A, B, and C, or because that's what is politically correct for me to have myself look like. So I'm just opening up here so that you can get a little bit more of a a view of where I'm coming from, how I see things, and just, I guess, a little bit of myself, how I am. And it didn't happen overnight. It took my lifetime to go through different changes before I got to the point that I'm at right now, that I'm accepting who I am and accepting what I like and what I don't like, and learning how to agree to disagree with people, because I've just really found that it's interesting that another person can just look at me and see some things in me that I don't see in myself, mainly because they are not me. The same way, I just feel so amazed at, and this goes to several of the people I am subscribed to, that so many of you do not give yourselves the credit or see the beauty that you have the same way that somebody like me or somebody else that's not you can see how beautiful you are. And it's just amazing that sometimes I think it might be because you're in your own body, and so you only can see yourself from so many different angles. And another person, they can be looking at you and see you in a totally different light than you see yourself. And that's why I found it to be so incredible and amazing to get the feedback from other people, and why I go through and make comments, and I'm so supportive of other people, because I've actually come to an understanding that sometimes we as a person do not see ourselves for how beautiful or how wonderful we actually are. And sometimes it is nice to have another person come and say, well, I don't see why you don't like that. It looks fine to me. And sometimes that helps. And I've noticed that in the busy world and the life that happens to be in most of our lives, in a lot of our lives, that we're so busy that we don't live, that some of the little simple things that I guess get missed or lost in translation, is really nice to get that occasional positive comment or remark from another person. And it's also good to take the time to actually look at yourself and see yourself. And I've just really have been feeling so much more alive, so much more free, and so much more relaxed and comfortable with myself and other people once I started just letting go of a lot of those assumptions or stereotypes or concerns, when a lot of the concerns or worries or assumptions or issues that we may have can be alleviated just by talking with another person, or actually sitting down and really seeing ourselves for what and who we are. So don't judge a book by its cover, and that includes yourself. Take the time to really live. I know that we can get busy and seem like we don't have time to do this or time to do that, but in the end, there are a lot of things in life that if you do not prioritize them, you will live a life that is not being lived, if that makes sense. That you'll be doing everything under the sun except for what makes you happy, and what point is that? Which leads me back into a question that I asked previously, and are you living your life, or do you just exist? Are you happy? And if you're not happy, what are you going to do about it? Don't judge a book by its cover, and that includes yourself. In summary, that's basically the gist of this whole little talk that I've been trying to get across, and hope everybody's doing good and staying blessed. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.